Beginning last night was the Pagan festival of Sawin, an ancient Celtic festival set at harvest time that carries through until today in our own pagan interest circle, marking it among us yesterday. Some of the traditions of this time revolve around the belief that the veil between the living and the dead grows thin at this time of year, and ancestors could cross over for a while. Later, Christian festivals of All Saints' Day, celebrated today, and All Souls' Day, celebrated tomorrow, Day of the Dead, they tried to bring that ancient honoring into something that was adjusted to celebrate church leaders that prayed for family members who had died. In many places still, though, in Mexico, in the Philippines, in our own city, soon in the day to come, the idea that lost loved ones were close enough that you could join them in a picnic and enjoy merriment and food, have a reunion at the grave in some cases, it persists. Every human community finds a way to name the loss of loved ones, tries to pull them across the divide a little closer sometimes, needs a time to name and honor and mourn what we have lost, and rituals that I think paradoxically in doing so make space for us to listen and attend to what these beloved friends and family have still left behind with us. This year has been a harder year to lose loved ones, with rituals of mourning that have been made awkward or impossible to do the way we knew to do them, and so the feelings of loss can in some ways be heavier. And so we make room this morning, as we did last week, to hold some of the losses felt this year among us, to do some of the honoring together. So Alyson and I will read a little about those we have lost. And after we do so, we will read their name again and ask you to say with us, as is often said in Day of the Dead gatherings, the word presente. In that way, acknowledging that we have called these loved ones into this space to be present among us. And so we begin. Tom Brookshire lost his father, Jerry Brookshire, in January. Jerry was a free-spirited jazz musician and a piano tuner, a self-described, born-again San Franciscan, an explorer, and an erstwhile member of Timothy Leary's League of Spiritual Discovery in the 1960s. He will be missed. Jerry Brookshire, presente.
Luann Schulte lost her mother, Josephine Frances Dauber Schulte. As a teacher, Jo was a strong advocate for education, ensuring that many extended family members attended college who otherwise would have not been able to. She was an avid and accomplished quilter, with her work raising thousands of dollars for charity over the years. She had a strong sense of community, delivering Meals on Wheels until she was 90 years of age. Josephine Dauber Schulte, presente.
Amy Kelly asks that we remember her cousin, David Schick. David, who grew up next door to Amy and her brother Dan in Rochester, New York, and was like a second brother to them. Always loyal to family and friends. Dave ran a sanctuary for birds and other animals on the northeast coast of Maine for decades. He participated in a theater near where he lived in northeastern Maine. He struggled in these last days of isolation, and we lost him this last spring. He will be greatly missed. David Schick, presente.
Also lost this year was a former member, Jim Dillon. Jim was the husband of Ann Dillon, both active members of the church. Jim left the church when he remarried after Ann's death. His kindnesses will be remembered. We don't have a photo of Jim to present, but we say his name, Jim Dillon, presente.
Shuli Ong lost her mother this year. Joan Ong was an unconventional woman who lived through the Depression, and she married outside her race in Boston in the 1940s. She was a feminist before the term became part of everyday language, a converted Unitarian Universalist. She was a complicated person and greatly loved. Joan Ong, presente.
Several people have asked us to remember Elizabeth Fisher. Liz was an involved member in our community in the 80s. Liz was an activist and leader in Unitarian Universalism, recognized for her contributions to the women and religion movement and her writing on feminist spirituality. Liz will be remembered for her passion, compassion, intellect, creativity, and energy. She passed away this past September. Liz Fisher, presente.
Nancy Buffum asked that we recognize the death of close friends, Copper Persephone and Tommy Finian. And so we do. Copper Persephone, presente. Tommy Finian, presente. New member John Bowman lost his mother to Alzheimer's disease this last year. Mary Rose Cavill was born on August 24th, 1926, and married John's father in 1950. She would lose her husband only 10 years into their marriage when he died in a car accident, and she became a single mother. Mary worked in a bank, getting a degree while she studied worked in a bank, and while she did so, studied to get a degree in early childhood education. She successfully raised all 4 children and died on Christmas Eve, her favorite day of the year. Mary Rose Bowman, presente.
Diane Allen and Kathleen Quenneville would like to honor the memory of their niece, Catherine, who passed away suddenly this year at the age of 30, and Diane's brother, David, who preceded his daughter in 2018. Catherine was lively with a great sense of humor. She was studying to be a paramedic. David, Diane's only sibling, was a wonderful, giving person, the best brother ever. They say, the best brother ever, they say, and they miss him terribly. Catherine and David Allen, presente.
We remember Robert Kaufman, who also died in December of last year, a retired pediatrician and member of the UUSF Men's Breakfast Group. Robert offered many insights and valuable lessons, moments of unpredictability, and a rich history of eclectic friends and activities. Robert Kaufman. Presente.
Carlo Connolly lost her sister last Monday. Carlo writes, "When I was 10 years old, my brother married Brenda. She was my first young adult role model, and I saw only wisdom and confidence in what she would later describe as the muddy stumbles of young motherhood. For more than 50 years, I watched her persistently focus on the joy of the moment. Laughter was the way through the defenses that protected Brenda and into her heart. I cannot picture her face without a smile. We don't have a photograph, but we name Brenda Payastiwa, presente.
This year, Unitarian Universalism lost two giants. Reverend David Petit died of cancer on September 12th. David served our congregation as an affiliated community minister, doing hospice ministry and supporting our pastoral care ministry here for 5 years. For 2 decades afterwards, he served Unitarian Universalism, overseeing ministerial education and credentialing, offering critical support and mentorship to innumerable ministers in their formation. And he faced his own end with grace and realism and equanimity. David Petit, presente.
Our denomination also mourns the untimely and unexpected death of Alondria Williams. E came up in the Unitarian Universalist Youth Movement and went on to serve on the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, and most recently as the co-moderator of the UUA. Alondria was a joyous presence and an indomitable force in our Unitarian Universalist community and beyond. A righteous organizer for justice and liberation who inspired so many. We will forever be grateful for Alondra's legacy in our faith tradition, helping us transform our faith communities to being the inclusive, anti-oppressive world we imagine, in which we are all held in the circle of love and care. Alondria Williams. Presente.
Finally, Anne Revere asked us to witness to the death of Don Beckler on October 24th, 2020. Don, who for the past quarter of a century or more organized locally and nationally in a campaign for single-payer health care. He was steadfast, he was persistent, and focused against overwhelming odds. He attended rallies and marches and collected signatures and sent monthly letters to those who were involved in the cause with him, always signing the letters, "You are great." So were you, Don. Don Beckler. Presente.
I know there is more loss among us. Whoever they are, call them all to mind. Say their names. And for them we say, you that we have loved and lost, you too are here with us today. Presente.
Robert Raines, in his work Going Home, writes the following: as we separate and the ties unbind and the threads of our lives disentangle and we make ready for a new weaving, let us believe in our own hearts that nothing we have shared together that is good will be lost, that all we were takes its honored place in life's journey, that nothing that we know of you and of each other can separate us from our love.